Welcome back to Rooted. Jennifer and I are so grateful that you're here. And if this is your first time, welcome to our channel. We are on a mission to really expose the darkness and also set people free because I know that so many of us, that's what we're seeking. We want that peace. We want wisdom. We want to know we're on the right path, that we're walking in our purpose and we want to have that unconditional love in our lives. And from our experience, we've really received that with Jesus. And so, if you've been drawn to this channel, if this is your first or your third episode with us, we just encourage you to listen in and listen to what God will say through this. And He's totally moving through us. We fully surrender. Like, this isn't us speaking. So, if something touches your heart, I would just trust that and lean into it today. So, what we're going to dive into, what we really feel like God placed on our hearts to talk about today is our personal journey, diving into our testimony, of course, but it's like the part that we really want to highlight today is the separation season that God brought us through. And this happens a lot of the time when you first start your walk with Jesus, like, and it can continue on. There's not like a set amount of time that you could be on this season too, but it's something that he likes to do to really, like, protect and kinda keep you hidden almost, so he can really start to do a work on your heart and on your mind, and you can start to build that relationship with him. So we really wanna talk about also, like, what it means to have a relationship with Jesus and how that's different from religion. If you have, like, any background coming out of Christianity or being in a religion like that you maybe have some, like, resistance to or some shame around or condemnation or something happened, some hurt, we really wanna touch on that too because that was a part of my experience personally, and I know it's a lot of people's experience and why sometimes, like, even talking about God or Jesus can be, like, super off-putting, but who Jesus is different than what people did to you. So if that is,
Mhm.
like, something that's holding you back, I just encourage you to try to let go of that for a moment and focus on a relationship with Jesus because he's the one who's perfect. We as humans are not perfect, but he is. And he loves us and loves you more than you could literally ever understand. So, with that being said, Jennifer, would you dive into what your separation season was like?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think I'm in one right now. I think I'm in another separation season, but yeah, if you guys are just tuning into this episode first, I definitely recommend checking out our first episode where we dive deeper into our testimonies. But a year ago is when both of us came to Jesus in our different ways.
Yeah.
And I went through a separation season right after that where, I mean, it was quite dramatic, to be honest. I was in Sri Lanka by myself, disconnected from social media, fully just committed to learning about Jesus and growing in my relationship with him, and even feeling comfortable and safe to explore what that looked like. My journey was definitely different than yours, Elena's, as we've talked about in previous episodes. But for me, it was like living and walking with Jesus, literally on the ground in another country where I was fully alone. I didn't know anyone.
Okay.
And I just had the clothes on my back, literally. And it felt like I was just waking up every day and opening up conversation and prayer with Jesus and asking him to guide my steps and asking him to lead me through some of the fears that were coming up. And so that was my initial, I would say, like separation period. And from there, I went back home. I moved in with my parents for about 6 months. And I focused on learning as much as I could. I focused on what he had planned for me next. And a lot of that looked like a refining, like stripping away some of the old habits and practices I was involved in, a lot of the new age things being revealed to me. And I was also being called to build something new. And so it felt like a season of discipline, a season of obedience. And I know that word obedience could be a bit triggering. It was for me coming out of, religion and just coming out of new age even and having the idea of like, I do what I want and I create my own reality and who am I going to answer to and all these things. But the obedience is really listening to the guidance that you're receiving from God, from Holy Spirit. And that's where the breakthrough happens. That's where the revelation and the wisdom comes and the ideas and the next steps come. And so it was like learning to hear his voice so clearly and also removing a lot of the distractions. So for me, that could have been the things that I was consuming. I wasn't really on social very much. I still am not. And I wasn't even hanging out with that many people either. Like a lot of my friends, I would still be in contact with, but I was really like truly isolated when it came to just like socializing and being in community. And I was really just with my parents for like parents and Jesus for 6 months. And then from there, I'd love to hear your perspective, Elena, because I know yours was a bit different from mine. For me personally, I was very isolated in a way. I don't think I did it the right way. I was not in a community of believers. I was not going to church. I only really had a few people I was talking to who I felt safe to talk to about my walk with Christ because it was
Mm,
so new. And I really wanted to, unlike anything I had tried in the past with New Age, I really wanted to make sure that I explored this walk and I was embodied in it and I trusted it and I knew it was what I was doing before I shared it publicly with anyone. Because to be honest, with all the other things I had tried in the past, the 100 different practices, that was never the case. I would, like, try something for, like, a few weeks and then be like, "Oh my gosh, this is, like, the solution to your problem," you know?
mhm.
And I felt like this time I knew it was different, and I wanted it also to be just for me. Like, I really think Jesus calls you to just be in, like, a quiet season with him
Yeah.
and get to experience him on your own. Of course, you're gonna share it in your own ways, but, like, that was big for me.
Mm,
And it's honestly been like a year of that. There's been ebbs and flows where I've brought more people in or I've felt like I'm more in an outward season, but post-baptism, I'm in it again. And you and I have been talking about this. I'm like, we're being refined again. It
it's like
almost feels like
continuous.
another
Yeah.
level of obedience, and I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy, you know? This path is not easy, but it's so worth it, and I cherish these moments so much, like, truly, because I know, like and he always says to me, like, "It's never gonna be like this again." Like, you're
Mm,
going to have a partner, you're going to have a family,
mm.
you're going to have a business that you're gonna be pouring into. Like that and I'm getting, like, chills over my body right now because I know this is our future,
Yeah.
and so it's like
Wow.
he's, like, always was seen to I just get so fired up about these little things. But I was always seeing, like, you and me. I would see, like, in a song or I would see on, like, a I remember when I was in Bali earlier this year and I was starting the season again, I, like, saw it on, like, a sign, and it was, like, Jesus just being like, "It's you and me right now," and that's it, and that's so special, and that's the relationship piece that I feel like people don't actually know when it comes to, like, what being a follower of Christ is.
Yeah.
And so that in a nutshell is what it has meant for me. I know it's looked a little bit different for you,
Yeah.
but I'd love to hear yours and
Yeah.
how it's
Mine,
like.
it's similar too, though. I really think like part of like when you start turning your focus to Jesus and like putting your faith in him is he's like, okay, now I've got you, like, kinda, you're, like, you're coming towards me. So, I really want to just spend time with you. Like, he loves us so much, and he's, like, been waiting for this moment our whole lives. I mean, time is like not a concept to God, but you know what I mean? Like he's been pursuing us every single day. So it's like finally we're like, okay, I think I'm like open to this. And he's like, okay, hold on. I just want you to be with me for a little bit. And I actually got a clear message from God when I started reading the Bible, and I finally felt like all of a sudden, like the veil came off. We talk about this in other videos, but the veil came off, and he was like, 60 days with me. Just spend as much time as you can, just like reading the Bible, listening to worship music, learning about me, spending like actual time with me, like praying, like all of that. Just soak me up for a little bit for 60 days. And I was so grateful too because I had the space and the time to be able to do that. And I know that's not the case for everyone, but he will meet you where you're at in your journey too. Like there's a purpose for your testimony too. So this is my experience. Like he was like 60 days, let's do this. So I'm so grateful for those 60 days because I feel like he helped me cut out a lot of the noise and a lot of the distraction too, and the confusion too, because coming out of like what I was doing to what really a relationship with Jesus is was really confusing. Like that was something that I got attacked in a lot. And like I just was like, I don't understand. Like I just didn't get it. I didn't understand how all these things that I was involved in could be bad, but I was open to like hearing what he had to say about it and what the word says about it and praying and asking him about it. And he knows how I am. He knows how we are. So he knows I'm a curious and I'm open to that. And just like I can be very like fixated on things. And he was like, okay, just fixate on me for 60 days and see what happens. So, anyways, in that experience, I really started to develop a relationship with him. That was like super important. And he took me back to Costa Rica, and I had already been living in Costa Rica, but I was in Minnesota for a time. And that's when I started really experiencing him. And he took me back to Costa Rica. And I was like, if I'm being honest, I was nervous because like all of my friendships basically, my whole entire life was like set up around a different identity, different beliefs, and now everything was shifting. And so it felt like I know people say your world turned upside down, but for me it's like your world turned right side up is really what happened. But it
Yes.
rocks your world.
Oh my gosh.
Loneliness rocks your world. And so when I got back to Costa Rica, I also felt like he was just like I didn't really have anyone to talk to there, but I was spending so much time with him, and it was really just me and him. And it was hard. Like, it was really hard because, like, I know he was healing me from, like, a lot of, like, seeking validation from people and, like, leaning on other people for, like, guidance and for clarity and support and, like, feeling, like, lonely too, like, being alone, even though I know I'm, like, not alone with him, but, like, I had to trust him that I wasn't alone, like, makes me emotional because that was, like, such a hard thing for me.
Yeah.
But I know there's so many people out there that feel alone, and it's, like, even just, like, actually knowing and believing that you've never been alone, that's, like, life-changing to know that and to experience that. So, yeah, he started, like, just healing me from, like, loneliness and, like, really going to him as, like, a friend and, like, spending time with him, like and that's, like, why I just building a relationship with him was changed everything for me as far as, like, believing in this is the way. Like, of course, like, the word helps, like, me understand and, like, get to know, like, the character of God and, like, our identity and everything, but, like, this relationship that I have is so ah, you can't even put a relationship into words, but it's like that's what changed everything for me. Everything else fell into place after I had the relationship with him. All my desires started to shift. Everything else started to shift and align with the Bible and like what it tells us. But it was like I had to pursue him first before everything else
Yes.
started to like make sense. So if you're in this place where you're like nothing's making sense, that's okay because we're humans and we're not gonna understand everything. But if you can just let go of that for a little bit and lean on Jesus and what he's telling you and just go to him for with all of your questions. He doesn't care if you have a million questions, go to him with it. Ask him. He will reveal things to you, but if you can just let your humanness come down a bit of like needing to know everything and understand everything, like that is so key. I think one other
Mhm,
thing I wanna add too is just I think this might need to be a different podcast episode, but something that was really important to my journey was unlearning this need of feeling like I need to perform, feeling like I need to prove something, like I need to work for him to love me. Like, truly, that is something that has been, like, something I've been realizing, like, I feel like, "Oh, like, I need to pray or I need to read the Bible. I need to do all these things." And sometimes I notice it shifts into this zone of, like, this is becoming legalistic now. This isn't the point. And, of course, he wants us to do those things. I'm not trying to, like, discount that, but it's more like, "Why don't you just spend time with me for a little bit? Let's just, like, hang out. Let's just, like, talk. Like, I just wanna be with you." And, like, he really just wants us to receive his love. And all that other stuff, like, you're gonna have this, like, desire and hunger that'll build up in
mhm.
you the closer you get into relationship with him and the closer you receive his love. Like, you're gonna wanna do all these other things and it just kinda flow with the Holy Spirit. But it's, like, shifting out of, like, feeling like I need to do that in order for him to, like, think I'm good enough or to love me more, and it's like his love never changes no matter how much we do or don't do, like, he loves us the exact same. That was really hard for me to grasp. So, that's something that he's still teaching me how to, like, rest in him.
I love that you brought that up because that was coming up for me too,
Mm,
and has even been coming up in the past few weeks of, especially when it comes to some of the stuff in New Age, it's like, do more practices, do your affirmation, rewire your mind, meditate more, breath work, all of these things, it felt like work, right? Do more, receive more. And it was like this productivity mindset. And it's like God will clear your entire schedule just to spend time with him. He will
really.
do it.
Mhm.
And it part of the separation phase is, and seen this within myself, but also with people I've talked to, it's like he will have you close the business. He will have you let go of the job. He will clear your schedule for the 60
Mm,
days or 90 days or whatever he wants
yeah.
from you to just be in his presence. And there are days where I feel like I'm not doing enough, or I feel like I should be doing more in order to receive money or to receive clarity. And that is not how he works.
Mm,
It's not how he works. He just wants you to be in his presence and to truly rest. Like he gifts you that time to rest so that you can hear his voice, so that you can start to develop that relationship more.
mm,
And that's what I've been really struggling with actually. It's like, how do I, and it's not even for me to do. Also, that's the
I
thing. It's like
know, right there.
he's gonna do it. He's renewing my mind, and he just did this recently for me. It was like this unworthiness he healed within me,
Mm,
and I felt such freedom and joy, and we'll have to do an episode about what that looks like too. But I was like, "Oh my gosh," I could feel it break off of me in an instant,
mm,
and I was he's gonna love me no matter what. This is the best feeling in the world.
yeah.
And yeah, I think we should share, a little bit of the ways that we actually maybe hear his voice or the way that we do spend time in his presence. Because, yes, it's like reading the word or being in worship or being in prayer. Those are some of the things that maybe you hear about more often. But I believe that there's more ways than that too.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you want to share like a way that you feel that connection or you feel his presence. I think it's different for everyone because also he knows each of us in the ways and he cares about the things that we care about,
Yeah.
you know?
He does. Something else that's coming up to me before we dive into that is something that I know multiple people have said this, but it really, like, sticks with me is, like, every other, like, religion, if you wanna call it, or just, like, way of thinking, of living your life, it's all about, like, these works, like, you have to do all of this in order to achieve, like,
Mm,
enlightenment, for example, or to, like I know most religions are actually based in that, like, you have to do all these things to, like, prove that you're, like, worthy enough or that you're, like, enlightened enough, and Christianity is the only religion that isn't like that. It's the only one where Jesus did it all for us, and we just need to
mm.
simply accept him into our hearts. It's like, that's it. Thumbs up. He's like, "Yeah, you're right. Thank you."
Yes,
It's the
yes.
only one out there. So, just think about that for a second, like, everything else is, like, such a workspace, and, like, God calls us to rest in him, and that's just so beautiful to me. And such a gift. But yeah, his voice, what it sounds like to me, I think like coming out of the new age world, the new age spirituality world, I had a connection. I think it's easier to connect almost like spiritually. I've talked to a lot of friends that weren't as connected in that kind of spiritual world or journey. And I think they almost have a harder time hearing his voice or like knowing what that means.
Yes.
But I will say that there's a lot of things before this moment of me having this relationship with Jesus that I thought was God, that I actually think wasn't God, and that's something important to know, like, discernment. Discernment was
Mm,
something I really, really needed, and I think that's why that separation season was so important for me to, like, understand, how does God speak to me actually? What does his words say? What is the truth? What is his true character? What is my identity in him? Like, understanding all these things I didn't know, like, having this, like, foundation, so then I could have better discernment of, like, okay, that is something that God would say. That is not something God would say. That is the fruit of the Spirit. That was so, so, so crucial to my beginning of my walk and
yeah.
always continuing on, but, like, okay, the voice of God is actually rooted in the fruit of the Spirit. So, like, okay, let's talk about it. Is the voice loving that's talking to you? Does it bring you joy? Not always, but is it like a joyful
Yeah. Not
voice?
not always.
Right. It's sometimes it's convicting. But like the fruit of the Spirit never, like, you'll know when the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God, is talking to you because it's loving, joyful, peaceful, gentle, kind. It builds up your faith. It's
Mm,
patient. There's maybe it convicts you and there's some self-control in there because that's one of the fruit of the spirit too.
yes.
And what's the other one? It's good. Like it's like a moral voice. Like it's like
Mhm.
you might hear something that you probably wouldn't want to do, but
Right,
is like probably the right thing to do. It's like not something that you would have thought to do yourself, but like he's telling you to do it.
right.
So that's always a good like litmus test of like, okay, is this voice telling me things to do that falls into, like, that kind of a character? Like, is it all those things the fruit of the Spirit? So, that was really helpful for me to understand, and I also just think, like, lining it up with scripture was super helpful. Like, obviously, like, I didn't fully know the Bible, but, like, God starts to, like, reveal things to you. Like, I know you mentioned this too, like, you hadn't even read the
Yeah,
Bible, but, like, he starts revealing things to you that, like, you find in the Bible, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, like, that you were already telling me about this, and I didn't even know it
right.
was, like, in the word of God." So, those are a couple of the ways that have helped me discern his voice specifically.
Mm,
What about
yeah,
you?
I love that. I was gonna add on to that too, because I think for me, I was definitely, you know, yeah, coming out of new age where maybe you've developed like hearing, whatever, channeling, all those things. Like I definitely think we have an increased sensitivity or understanding or openness to more of that spiritual connection, right? The one thing that was coming to mind as well is like the voice of the enemy condemns,
Yes. That's so
is
important
not
to
God.
know.
The voice of the enemy will attack you based on your past, based on anything that's going to draw you away from your identity.
Mm,
And yeah, it's condemning. So it will make you feel guilt and shame and all of these things. And so I really had to learn that. Similarly to you, I resonate with what you said of just like the gentleness and the lovingness, but also like there's some conviction in there sometimes of like, sometimes you don't want to do what you hear,
Mhm.
but you know it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Maybe you have like a conversation with someone that didn't feel just right, or even like recently I was not in the best mood this past week and I kind of let that out on a stranger. I wasn't rude, but I wasn't like the most friendly version of myself, and I like felt that come through of like, hey, like don't let that affect how you treat other people. And so there's moments like that that
Mm.
I feel like it's a little bit of a tough love in a sense.
Yeah.
But what I love and what I think people will find in their own journey and walk is that God really does know, like, you and every detail of you and all the things that you love. And so I remember I was having a tough week, and the Holy Spirit, I felt Jesus, like, nudge me to get up in the morning and go on a walk with me. And I love nature. I always have. I love being outside.
Yeah.
And I just went on a walk and I was listening to worship music, and it was just, yeah, like truly like a prayer walk. And I felt his presence the whole time. I felt him speak to me. I just could feel all of nature almost like putting on a show for me. And I knew that was Jesus orchestrating it all. And it's just like he will show you how much he loves you. Especially like I know a lot of the women or people watching this are women. And I know a lot of you are probably not in partnership. And yes, I feel like Jesus is your best friend, but I also feel like Jesus is like
Your husband.
teaching you the love that you deserve
Yeah.
from a partner.
Yeah.
That's been so eye-opening for me. Just like the way that he pursues and chooses you every single day,
Yeah.
and the way that he cares for you and loves you unconditionally, the way that he sees you not because of your past, but because of who you are right now,
Mm.
and not because of your works or your acts. It's just exactly how he made you. And
Yeah.
so that kind of love, it's hard to receive. I don't know about you, but it's definitely been like over the past year, like me opening up to receiving that more and more, and really seeing. I asked him, I'm like, show me how you see me. Like, just
Yeah.
give me a sliver of what it looks like to see me through your eyes, because I don't see it. Like, there is those moments of unworthiness. And I think people don't always talk about that struggle. But that's like the beauty of the relationship piece. It's like you're really forming this like the greatest relationship of your life, like the number one relationship of your life.
Yeah.
And it just heals every past relationship that you've had, like partner, family, whatever it is, and shows you what it really feels like to be unconditionally loved. And that's just like, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. Well, I can relate so much. I really do also want to share like ways that he's pursued me that, he knows us, like you were saying, he knows us every single person on this planet, he knows so well. And in some ways that I started like kind of feeling him more, like knowing that it was God was, I mean,
Mm.
through the worship music. That would just like, I started listening to worship music and it really just broke me down because I've always been like, I was a dancer growing up. I love music. It really touches my soul. Music is so powerful. Listening to worship music and like really like actually saying the words, believing the words that were being said, even if I don't fully understand even what's going on. Cause that's sometimes with worship music, if you're not fully on this path, you're like, I don't know what that means. But just like trying to let it like soak in. That's like a way that I started like, he just started like opening my heart and softening my heart that way too. Of like, yeah, I could just feel him through the music, and then also, like, just I'm such a feeler in general. Like, I just have always been, like, a very emotional person, which is, like, just, like, sensitive, I should say. And I could feel, like, a warmth come over me or, like, a love, or I would get, like, tingles, like, if I was wanting clarity. I don't think he always does this, but, like, he'll meet you where you're at. So in the beginning, I, like, almost needed more confirmation that, like, "Okay, is this you, God? Like, is this really you?" Because I felt like I was so confused about other things that I was opening myself up to in the past, and I'm like, I would ask him, like, he'll give you it. If you need it, he will give it to you, especially in the beginning of your walk. So I remember, like, being like, "God, is this you?" And I would get, like, a full body, like, sensation of, like, tingles or something, and he doesn't always do that. I just wanna, like, caveat that, like, now that I'm further on my walk, like, a year in, like, he doesn't always do that because he wants me to, like,
Like
to walk by faith and not by sight or, like,
like, "Elena, you know it's me. Come
exactly,
on."
exactly. But in the beginning, like, that was something that was really important to me is like, "God, is this you? Like, give me confirmation that this is you." And he doesn't care how many times you have to ask him that. Like, just keep asking. If you're, like, questioning it, just ask him, and he'll give you whatever confirmation is gonna resonate with you. But, like, for me, I am such a feeler, so, like, he was, like, giving me the full body tingles and feeling the warmth of him and, like, his love, like, feeling like his arms were wrapping around me. That was super helpful, like, for me to start to understand, like, that this was God speaking to me. And it's not oh, and I also wanna say it's not an audible voice, majority of the time, I would say.
Yeah.
Some people have actually heard God's voice, but I think more times than not, it's like an inner, like, knowing. And I know we use that too, like, a lot of people use that, like, that aren't following fully Jesus, but it's like, yeah, you just, like, you have maybe this thought that pops up into your head all of a sudden that's like, huh, I think I should do that. Or a certain person pops up into your head and you're like, I know that's God speaking to me. I know that's a Holy Spirit speaking to me. So it does feel like sometimes it's like it's in your spirit, right? Like you get like things in your spirit that you know to do. Okay, another confirmation. Thank you.
It's reminding me, in New Age, they talk about, like, the clairs,
Mm,
and I
yum.
think we're gonna do a whole episode on how
We gotta
New
start
Age
writing
is
these down.
much like, and we gotta write all these out.
Yeah.
Pretty much a counterfeit of everything that's in Christianity. But I think the same thing goes in your communication or you said you're a feeler. So for you, you get like the resonance or the feeling in your body. For me, I'm very visual. So as you're saying this, I was like, well, yeah, sometimes I feel it, but also I see him in my inner vision.
Mhm.
And okay, if you really want to get to know Jesus and just like have the Bible come alive anymore, even more, I binge watched The Chosen last year,
Love
right
that
after
show.
I got saved.
I forgot that that was a really important part of my testimony too.
Oh my gosh, I'm like rewatching it again. It's so good. You just fall in love with all the disciples. You want to be there
Yep.
on the ground with them. Like, it is so incredible. It's so incredible. And after watching that show, well, from time to time, like, I will see the main character in my mind as Jesus. Like, that is the
Yeah.
visual. It is hilarious. But I will, like, see him and you know, I also wanna just say, like, he's not all serious. Like, Jesus has a sense of humor. I have experienced that in my life,
Same.
and he wants to make you laugh. He wants you to experience joy. He wants you to, like, be in, like, the levity of life and what you're creating together, and so, yes, you can be in prayer and all these things, but I'm like, when I'm scootering around Bali, I'm like, "Jesus, are you there?" And he's like, "I'm here on the back of the scooter with you." I remember even when I was living at home, I was running every day and I was doing this uphill run. And I remember I was like, oh man, I'm not going to make it to the top today. And I was like, Jesus, give me some, come on, help me through this. Give me some energy. Like, and I remember in my inner vision seeing him and he goes, I'm running next to you and I'm in sandals. So you can keep going. And I just like started laughing because I was like, Yeah, he's literally in sandals and I'm complaining, you know? Like, little moments like that have happened for me too, and it's like, it doesn't always have to be this, like, I don't know, there's just, like, a fun playfulness to him that has come up for me. I don't know if you've experienced that, but
Mhm.
there's, like, and, like, I need humor, that's who part of my personality, so he'll come through as that when I need it too.
Totally. I mean, something that I thought was really interesting that I heard someone say is like, God, every single person's like personality and all these different like sides of it were created from God. So like he has all those sides of his personality too. So he has humor. He has like, like all these little parts of us that we're like, can God understand that? He can literally understand all of it. He created all of it. And so,
You're created in the image of God.
exactly. So
Mhm.
something that I've definitely experienced the joy of the Lord. And like, just like him, I can't think of like any specific examples right now of like the humor. I
What
know it's
about when you're
there.
dancing?
Dancing, I was gonna say, like, the dancing for sure, like, he's
Yeah,
been calling me back into, like, dancing with him and just, like yeah, we're just, like, having fun. That was what I was wanting to say is, like, it seems tough, like, initially coming on this journey of, like, feeling like you need to cut out all this stuff. Like, I can't do this anymore, I can't do that anymore, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. But the reality is, like, all that stuff that you feel like, like, was bringing you all of this, like, healing and guidance and peace and all of that, it's an emptiness, though. Like, it always ends in emptiness, and it's never fulfilling, it's like a temporary thing. But with him, he's like, "Just trust me, let all this other stuff fall, and I will show you true joy, true love, true peace." He's the creator of it. He created it all, so he knows where the actual like, he's sustainable. Like, his is he sustains. That was a word I was getting this morning. He's a sustainer. So, like, it's not like this, like, fleeting joy, this fleeting love or fleeting peace. It's like he's continuously bringing that to you all every single day. Like, that is who he is, and that's what he wants for us the closer we get to him. And he always wants it for us, but we start to experience it more the closer we get to him. So, yeah, I mean,
yeah, and
God, what were you gonna
do you
say?
feel do you feel like he has brought you actually back to who you really are too, like, who he created you to be? So, like, for me, it's like we were stripped of all these things, but none of those things were actually
Us.
like, I didn't love those things growing up. I didn't love yoga and all these things. Like, I love to dance. I love to sing. I love to entertain and, like, frolic around in
Love
nature.
people.
And,
Yeah, I
like
love just, like, connecting with people and listening to people.
and that's, like and I was, like and then, like, my mom used to call me a tiny encourager when I was a kid, and it's like, we're just being brought back into who we truly are. And it's so beautiful. Like, people say inner child, but it's like, no, no, like, that is who we truly are, you know, who Jesus created us to be.
Yes, he wants us to be like children, like, that's what he says. Not childish, but childlike, who we were created to be. And I just think of this example too of, like, I used to be that girl. I don't know if a lot of people can relate to this because 'cause I'm kind of an odd like, he just created me and we're all unique, okay? Like, let's just say that, but I would be the one like, I'd be hanging out with my best friend, and her mom would be over hanging out with my mom, and I was sitting at the table with the moms while my friend is, like, upstairs trying to play something. She's like, "Will you just come play with me?" And I'm like, "I wanna listen to this conversation, though." Like, I was, like, a child that, like, wanted to listen. I, like, love absorbing, like, information and understanding people and, like, knowing how they are and just taking it all in. I'm, like, a big observer. I've always been that way, even as a child, and I'm like, "That's so funny." I'm like, my friend just wanted to play with me, and I'm, like, sitting here just listening to adults talk. But I've always been that way. That's how he created me. That's why I'm doing this. So,
Yeah, observing, absorbing, so you can, like, share it and teach
yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I do like to play too. Like there's things like certain things, like even thinking about like what did I like to play as a child? I bet that's connected to like my purpose in some way. Like I loved crafts. I loved to make up dances for sure. I loved crafting and I loved playing store. Like, I loved to be, like, the store manager or, like, house. Like, I loved, like, the make believe of, like I don't know why, I guess I wanted to be an adult when I was a child, I don't know why. But, yeah, I think, like, coloring, those were, like, the things I really liked as a kid. So it's, like, remembering that and, like, God, like, why did you create me that way? Why did I like that? What does that mean for my life? I think it's interesting.
I could tell you.
Yeah.
Retreat hosting,
Yep.
retreat hosting, crafting, bringing people together,
Mhm.
all the things. So thank
Creating.
you
I love to
for joining.
create. Yeah.
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 Yes.
Ugh. So, yeah, he just knows you so well, I think is, like, what we're trying to get at, like and he knows, like yeah, like, what's gonna bring you joy, what's gonna bring you, like, his love, like, knowing his love, like, is it just covers a lot of it. Like, the love, like, that's something that keeps coming up for me too is, like, our whole purpose, I think, here in this world is, like, to love and be loved by him,
Mhm,
to love love other people and, like, have that embodiment of, like, love and to be loved by him.
mhm,
That's the whole basis. So, yeah. I feel
mhm.
like we could keep going on and on, but I think maybe we
We're on a love fest right now.
we
Yeah,
totally
I
are.
that's good. I think the last thing we could say is not to confuse the separation phase with fully being isolated. So, if I could share one thing is to that I've learned from the past year of my journey is to put yourself in community
Mm,
as much as you can, whether that is church or a Bible study or, we just recently created our little like prayer group circle of women.
yep,
Like, don't isolate yourself because that's where the doubt comes in. That's where like the spiritual attack can come in. And the enemy is always going to tell you to isolate yourself. That's my natural inclination.
yeah,
When things aren't feeling right, I don't feel good. I'm like, draw back. And I've learned like that's when you spiral even deeper. So notice for yourself when that's happening and almost like force yourself to reach out to someone, ask for prayer,
yeah,
seek out community. Like that is where you're going to grow the most. That's where you're going to feel the most supported and just really help you stay the course on this path.
yeah. I would say, like, pray about bringing in people into your life. That was something
Yes.
I prayed, and I would get, like, connected with people on the internet, even if they weren't physically in Costa Rica, like, I started connecting with people on the internet, and then eventually I did start connecting with people in Costa Rica too, that were physically there. But, like, yeah, pray and ask for that. He will give it to you. He doesn't want you to be alone on your journey. Like, he did not create us. He created us to be, like, in fellowship with each other and connecting with each other and helping each other in that way. So, that's what I would say. And then also, like, we're creating a community. I feel like that is happening now as we're doing this.
Yes.
So, like, if this is resonating with you and, like, our message is resonating with you and our testimony, you find a little bit of yourself in what we're saying here, join our community too. So that will be to come.
Yes. Can't wait. Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching. We're so grateful to have you here. And we want to know like what's resonating, what you want to learn more about, what's interesting you, because honestly, we have topics for days. Like we talk about this for hours, which just feels so good. We're so grateful for that. So you can reach out to us directly if you want prayer, reach out to us directly or comment below. And yeah, share this with someone. Share this with someone you know it's going to resonate with, who maybe is curious and seeking. More people need this message. More people need Jesus. So we just pray that you share it with someone who needs it too.
Thank you so much for being here. We love you and Jesus loves you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.